If you look with me in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, we find these words again for our hearing. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Fourth thought on this Sunday, Lord, help me carry my load. Lord, help me carry my load. In this recent movie, in fact, yesterday, last Sunday, my family said, well, what you want to do? And I said, let's go to the movies. And we went to go see The Secret Life of Pets, Part 2. Amen. And for those of you that have seen it, how many of you seen it? It's all right. There's no age requirement now on cartoons. Amen. You go and see them now. They try to make it for children and adults. You can really enjoy them. If you haven't tried one recently, this might be one that you want to look at. The Secrets of Pets, Part 2. And in this movie, there's a scene with a white tiger by the name. Does anybody know the name of the white tiger? Hugh. Amen. H-U. And this tiger in the movie is held captive by a Russian circus owner that abuses and imprisons and harshly mistreats this beautiful white tiger. But then there are some other characters by the name of Daisy and a rabbit by the name of Captain Snowball. They rush out to try to rescue the tiger. But when they go out on the rescue, they run into 4 big bad wolves. You know, sometimes when you're trying to save somebody, there's some wolves that are in the nest. And there's a scene where Daisy and Captain Snowball fight and make it past the wolves, and eventually they make it to the cage and set the tiger free. Aside the theme in this movie about pets, the movie highlights that some animals are free while some animals are not free. It's ironic that this month of June, there are words that are floating around like emancipation and reparations that reverberate all over our nation. And these words are still present for our time. My brothers and sisters, it cannot be ignored that the land of the United States was taken from Native Indians and built on the backs of African slaves and continued to be built on Asians from concentration camps, and still being built with the illegal use of migrants and undocumented citizens. It can't be ignored that while many of us enjoy the comforts in life, urban life and suburban life, or whatever life you have, outside of our glass buildings and our glass homes, we need to realize that slavery is still around. Some of us are so cut off from the world that when we hear these kind of things, it's strange to our ears because we're used to freely going and doing as we choose. But slavery is real. Discrimination and racism and classism and sexism, they're real. They're all around us. They're not going anywhere. Therefore, we dare you to fall asleep. Like Hugh kept in the cage. We do not think for 1 minute that people today are not being caged, that they're not being enslaved or kept in bondage. Right here under our current administration, the past couple of years, migrant children and other people, by the hundreds and thousands. I was listening to the news about over 600,000 people are being held captive over the last several months down in El Paso, being kept in cages along the borders. In Nigeria over the last couple of years, twice, schoolgirls, including women by the hundreds, were kidnapped. Last year, just a few months ago, Places like China and Syria and other countries are constantly dealing with human rights violations and abuses and enslavement and the imprisonment of people. See, all over the country, there are people of color and women that are being falsely imprisoned and unjustly sentenced and sometimes left to rot in cells. Their sex trafficking and kidnapping and slavery is not a thing of the past. It's not something that we only experienced in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 1800s, and 1700s, and 1600s. But even right here in Fort Worth, and Dallas, and throughout Texas, people are held in captivity against their will. They're stolen and sold. They're traded and bought and discarded as property and treated just like trash. And they need somebody like a Daisy in the movie, or a Captain Snowball, who can be a superhero that does not mind putting on the suit, that believes that they have superpowers where they can fight crime in places where other folks don't want to go or don't want to deal with. But in the movie, there is a rabbit that put on a superhero cape and a mask. But there's somebody I know of who is a superhero that does not wear a suit, does not need a mask or need a cape. In fact, I know of him in the scripture, and you do too. We're told that he was stripped of his clothes, and they dressed him up like a king, and he had no magical powers. He was not hit in an accident of gamma rays. He was not born with some extraordinary chemical imbalance, but received all of his power. You just talked about the source. Received all of his power from a higher source. Power that came from on high. Power that came from above. Power that came from above. Everlasting power. Ongoing power. Power that was not used to abuse and enslave. The power to set folk free. Power to allow us to be turned loose. Power so we can have deliverance. Power so we can be redeemed from our sin. Power so we can live a life that will be free. Oh Lord, help me to carry my burdens. Now, this verse 28 says, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Yes, he did, unto your soul. After speaking of two disciples of John the Baptist, John was in prison. Jesus turns his attention to a crowd of people and highlighted three different kinds of ministries. He highlighted the ministries of the prophets of the Old Testament, the ministry of John the Baptist, who was incarcerated for no reason at all. And at the same time, in the 11th chapter of Matthew, he highlights his own ministry. And each of these ministries, these errors, E-R-A errors, deal with God's manifestation, revelation to people in their respective time periods that show us oppression came from both governments and even religion. When you turn on the news, you see where there are certain churches and denominations, Catholic or Protestant. It does not matter the name, but people are in power. Preachers, yes, and even lay folk. Their name may not be plastered across the news, but folk who have some authority or oppressing folk and putting them down. And Jesus deals with the context in light of their current oppressive environment. He tells them that you have another avenue. He says, come unto me, those of you that have labored and burdened. And he said, I will give you rest. This labor did include work, but more so it focused upon the labor and the hardness and the difficulty of trying to follow the law and religious rites and rituals and traditions that these folk taught that would lead to peace and morality and salvation. But too often those that are in power use the intensity of the system and structures so that they can impress those who are not in power. Alan Clark said this about the verse, that the Jews and of course the Roman government that was in power, heavily laden with the burdensome rites and the Mosaic institution, rendered still more oppressive by the additions made by the scribes and the Pharisees. What he's saying to us, there are times in our churches that we have traditions and we have ways that we put more pressure on people to follow them than to follow the word of God. Jesus said in Matthew 23, verse 4, "For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's and women's and young people's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers." There are times when people in power want you to do certain things, but then refuse to do the things themselves. Matthew 23 and 5 said that all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, which is slips or robes of the long garments that they wore, and enlarge the borders of their garments. What Jesus uncovers is that when folk believe that they can work to get to heaven, it is an absence of God's grace. It also reveals that it is labor intensive when a person is trying to save their own soul. Jesus is helping us because there is no way or no thought or no means of your own. There is no act or no amount of doing or no amount of money that any person can do in order to save your own soul. Jesus is helping us to understand, and I know some of us have been told that if you're in the wrong church, that you can't go to heaven. If you don't follow certain individuals, you can't get to heaven. If you're not baptized in a certain way, you can't get to heaven. If you don't speak in tongues, you somehow can't get to heaven. But water did not die on the cross. Languages did not die on the cross. Even the church did not die on the cross. Denominations and pastors and whoever your favorite is did not die on the cross. Only Jesus saves, and Jesus alone. Jesus reveals that the person and community, because he did say, "All ye that labor," that his labor has a desire to not only work, but working because there was a chief aim, a chief goal, a purpose for carrying out what they were doing. There's something about the human soul that when it has been oppressed and suppressed and repressed and depressed and regressed, that inside of us there's something about us wanting to have freedom and wanting to have rest and wanting to have peace and wanting to have joy, that is just yearning down on the inside of your soul. Never accept that somehow enslavement and bondage and captivity is some kind of acceptable form that God has placed on your life. Enslavement in any form is evil. The fight for reparations and emancipation is really not about money. It's just to say to the world that it was wrong. God told Moses, "You tell Israel in Exodus 20 and 2, that I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." See, if God intended for Israel to stay down in Egypt, they would have never made it through the Red Sea. They would have never got to the wilderness. They would have never got to the promised land. See, the God we serve is not looking for you to be in prison, not looking for you not to have peace, not looking for you to not have rest, not looking for you to not have joy. And if you don't have it, there's not anything wrong with our God, but there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with other folk, because the God we serve is interested in you having rest from your burdens, interested in you having peace from your burdens, interested in you having joy from your burden, interested in you having hope from your burden, interested in you putting a smile on your face every now and again. The God we serve wants you to be free. And Jesus stood before the crowd and letting them know that he understands them. He shifts their attention from legalism and works righteousness and religiosity or trying to obtain salvation on their own merits. He wants their full attention on him. He said in Matthew 11:29, Take my yoke upon you. Yes, he did. And learn of me. Yes, he did. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find what? Rest unto your souls. He said, for my yoke is easy, and my burden, yes, he did, it is light. There are two things that you can do this hour to have rest for your souls. No, you don't have to buy no more of whatever it is that you bought. He said, take my yoke. And he said, learn of me. Take my yoke suggests that there were other kinds of yokes. We all know that eggs have yokes. And whether you realize it or not, computer game controllers have yokes. Even certain cars that you drive use yokes. The Bible tells us about being unequally yoked. But this yoke, Jesus is saying it is his. The word tells us in Leviticus 26 and 13 that I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that ye should not be their bondmen and have their broken the bands of your yoke, and you make upright. If the word has said, and it has, that God breaks yokes, then why is Jesus telling us to take on the yoke? This sounds kind of contradictory right here. There must be something about this yoke that is not like other yokes. Oxford Dictionary stated that a yoke is a wooden crosspiece that is fastened over the necks of two animals and attached to the plow of the cart that they are to pull. It's like having a harness or a collar or a strap that connects one person to another person. Oh, I see, Lord. You're not saying put the yoke on our necks as being enslaved, but you're saying that you have a yoke around your neck, and the other part of the yoke you want to put around our neck. I see, Lord, you want us to be yoked together. You want us to be connected together. You want us to be put together. You want us to be linked up together. You want us to be hooked up and latched up and fixed up together. So when the burden of life gets heavy, there's someone close enough. There is someone that is right beside us. There's someone that is stronger than we are. There's somebody that knows more than we are. We're so apt to carry our own loads without having Jesus. We're so quick to carry our own burdens without having Jesus, without turning to Jesus, without looking at Jesus. We tell God that we got this when really you don't have it all. And Jesus is saying, whatever you're dealing with, that without him you can't do it, that without him you can't make it. Oh, without him you'll never get through. He's saying that he'll be a yoke bearer for you. Whatever you're dealing with, he'll be your helper. Whatever you're dealing with, he'll be your strength. Whatever you're dealing with, he'll be your guide. Whatever you're dealing with, he'll be your way. The blessing of having Jesus as yoke and being by your side is not only just so you can be blessed, so you can have what you want and do what you want and go where you want, but Jesus also said, learn. That's what he said, learn of him. Many of us have heard the expression that you can give a man a fish to eat a meal for a day. But if you teach him how to fish and how to clean the fish and how to cook the fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Simply because, can I say, he learned how to do it. Enough cannot be said about this word learn and understand and comprehend. Paul told the people of Rome in Rome 10 and 3, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness. We talked about that in the Sunday school lesson this morning with Brother Allen about this word ignorant. Some of us are too quick to become offended, but really we all are ignorant about something. He said, ignorant about God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God. See, there are times that we are so ignorant that we accept any form of godliness that is not of God, that is unhealthy, that is unreasonable, that blinds us and that throws us off the path. There just seems to be a spirit of anti-learning. when it comes to Jesus. During the 1990s at ITC chapel service in Atlanta, Georgia, I remember a then 80, 90-year-old pastor that some of you may recall back in the 90s, Dr. Caesar Clark from Good Street Baptist Church of Dallas. He came all the way to Atlanta to preach to us students. And on that day, he said, if you would like to see the strength of a church, don't look at how they look on Sunday morning, but look at their attendance for Bible study. That's if you want to see the strength. If you want to see the strength of a church that is not only about what we do on Sunday, or only about showing up for meetings, or showing up for what we believe is important in church. Look at the attendance of Sunday school where the word is being taught, a Bible study where the word is being taught, or retreats where the word is being taught. Because it appears that all of our busyness, that folk don't mind receiving God's blessing. We don't mind the blessing part. We don't mind the favor part. We don't mind the good part. We don't mind the loving part. We don't mind the blessings raining down on us part. But it looks like when it's time to show up for the learning part, we got a whole lot of folk that are dropped out of school. We got a whole lot of people that refuse to go to class, but we show up everywhere else that we want to show up. In fact, we got some folk that have graduated from Sunday school where they received some kind of certificate, don't know where they got it from, but they don't have to come back no more. There are some people that know everything in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, Genesis to Malachi, Matthew to Revelation. They know how many books it is. They know all the words in the Bible. They're just going to heaven anyhow. Just look like many folk are offended when we talk about learning the word. The reality is there's a resistance and ongoing learning about Jesus. We want the world to be a better place, but we don't position ourselves as his people, as his children, and as his students. There's a resistance about ongoing learning regarding the church. There's a resistance about the ongoing learning regarding the faith. But Jesus said, learn of me. Jesus said, learn of me. Jesus said, learn of me.